for your exam. It's a logical method of communication, your TCP and your UDP. All you need to know it for your exam and for your interview. I said to everybody, the moment we have SMTP, what is SMTP used for? We said SMTP is used for email, right? So now let's say, for example, we have a certain user known as Andile. Andile wants to send email, right? So what would Andile do? Andile will launch his Outlook, right? So the Outlook is used for what? To go send email. But before this Outlook will go send email, the Outlook needs to go connect to what they call our email services, which is known as Exchange. So this is an application. So this application needs to be able to send email. So now, if Andile needs to be able to send email, Andile is using Outlook. Outlook depends on Exchange. So now, what will be the transport protocol that your SMTP will be using? Did you guys understand the logic now? Yes. The logic is you cannot move from source to destination without a transport. So every application services that we mention depend on transport. So by default, each of them has a specific transport that they use. Lumik, did I lost you? You get the logic now. So now you don't need to choose. The moment you launch Outlook, your Outlook needs to send email. Your email needs to depend on transport. Your transport needs to be able to deliver, and now we have two transports. One transport is UDP, one transport is TCP. So now I said, will my email be using TCP or my email will be using UDP? So now, do I need to choose? No. By default, each of the transport services know which of the transport application services that they need to transport. So I don't want you to crack your brain on this one. I'll start giving it out. So you design it in a simple way. Read your books, read your books, read your books so that you can design it in your own way. So for Andile's sake, I'll design it for you. Just for Andile's sake. So now, I said Andile send out email. Email work with SMTP. We still remember, right? Yes. So SMTP depend on transport. So which transport does our SMTP depend on? SMTP uses what they call TCP. Did you guys understand? Let's pick another service again. One other services on our network is HTTP, right? HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. What is it used for? For browsing our websites. So now, which of these transport does your HTTP depend on? Does it depend on TCP or does it depend on UDP? So HTTP still depend on TCP. Did you understand? So now, SMTP depend on TCP. HTTP depend on TCP. We also mentioned another services. What is the name of the services? DNS. What does DNS do? DNS is used to resolve name. The moment you type name, let's say for example, you type www.talkit.com. TalkIT is the name. What changed the name to IP address or what translates the name to IP address is known as DNS. So if somebody asks me, hey, Emmanuel, what translates name? I know is DNS. So which of this transport protocol does it use? So DNS, does it use TCP or does it use UDP? So I don't want to crack your brain. So DNS is a services that uses both TCP and UDP. I love that language. Ow. Yeah, some use one. DNS use two.
So how does it use two? Because you see the other one is not safe.
Yes, the other one is not safe, it's not secure, but it's faster. So now let me go back to real life scenario. So let's say, for example, we have Black Friday, right?
Yes.
So now we have an e-commerce website. So let's say ShopRite.
Yes.
So people want to start buying item online. So DNS, the moment you type www.shoprite.com, DNS needs to respond
Yes.
and say there is a shop called ShopRite. You understand?
Yes.
So if we have few people that are making requests to ShopRite, what will happen? DNS does not need to rush. It would be using TCP. But now imagine during Black Friday, we have how many? We have a lot of people making requests to that DNS.
Yes.
So now he wants to be verifying security for everybody. What will happen? Delay. So when the request gets merged, it switches from TCP to UDP. Did you understand? So when the request becomes more, it doesn't focus on security anymore. It focuses on delivering, which is more faster. Did you understand it? But now when it's not peak period, it doesn't need to rush. It needs to focus on security. So it uses TCP. But now when it's off peak, it uses TCP. But when it's peak period, it forget about the security. It just needs to be able to attend to everybody's requests. Imagine all of us inside this classroom making requests to ShopRite. Everybody in the other classroom, everybody in the other building. The more you type ShopRite, you are talking to DNS. So it switches according to demand. Did you understand?
Yes.
So now we have one other services called DHCP. So what is DHCP? It is your dynamic host configuration protocol. Which of the transport layer does it use? So DHCP assign IP address. Assign IP address. Did I spell IP address correctly? No. It assign IP address to computers. So DHCP assign IP address to computer. So which of the transport services does the DHCP use?
TCP.
Another person? You guys?
What's the question again, sir?
Which of the transport protocol does DHCP use?
TCP.
DHCP uses UDP. Because it doesn't need security, it's just giving them IP address to those computers. So now imagine multiple people says, I need IP address. It doesn't need security, it doesn't work with your data. So you remember your email work with your data. If anybody gets access to Andile email, security has been violated. Information has been violated. So email must be secure. Computers need an IP address. It doesn't need to be secure. It only just needs to give them IP address and just go. So how you start managing the data on that device, it's up to you. Do you guys understand? So I will leave and love you guys with going to do more research on each of the services, each of the transport protocol that your network services use. And please put this at the back of your mind. If they said network services, they are referring to application layer. Lumik, welcome back. Network services are referred to application layers. Network services are services that provide us with specific functionality. Like I said, what is the functionality of DNS? Resolve name. What is the functionality of the ATP? Assign IP address. What is the functionality of SMTP? Send email. What is the functionality of POP? Retrieve email. Am I far from everybody?
No.
You guys?
Write it on the
I cannot write everything, you guys.